Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Punt Intended podcast here on Entertainment Buddha. Be sure to check us out online at www.entertainmentbuddha.com, where we make you a better geek one post at a time. With me, as always, is the number nerd himself, Mr. Justin Ludwig.
We have plenty of football results to talk about. An unrelated result that we can discuss real quickly is I tried a new flavor of Oreo this week.
Ooh, do tell.
Pumpkin spice.
Pumpkin spice. And
I tried the limited edition pumpkin spice. It's good.
It's good.
It tastes like pumpkin.
All right. So I myself am not a big fan of pumpkin, so I probably wouldn't be into those.
More for me then.
All right. You can have my share of the pumpkin spice.
I'll do that.
All right.
With pleasure. Anyway.
Are they regular or are they extra stuffed, double stuffed?
They're regular.
Okay. Do they? I don't think they make anything other than regular double stuff.
No, they haven't. They haven't ventured that far into the woods in terms of Oreos. That'd be pretty fun, though.
That would.
If they came out with like a double stuff that was I don't know, what's the one I like? Marshmallow cream. That's the one I really like. It's like a Rice Krispie treat in the middle.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. Might have to wager some cookies this week to get some more cookies for next week. But
you got to spend cookies to make cookies.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So how did we do last week in our picks?
You and I. Well, you did as you normally do, and I just apparently played to your level. We both went 7 and 8.
Okay.
A couple of places we differed in opinion. You got burned on the Rams.
I did.
You came through on the Panthers because they lost by 4.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice. What was the big one?
Yeah.
The Raiders didn't come through, and then you correctly. Wow, that was bad in retrospect. You correctly chose the Redskins, who won anyway, but they were the underdog.
Right, and that was at the time that pick was a little uncertain, just because Colt McCoy was starting for the first time for the Redskins. You know, granted he has NFL experience with the Browns, and it was hard to know what to expect from him, though.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't expect that.
Nope. Nope means nope.
But DeMarco Murray gets his 8th consecutive 100-yard game, so...
Yeah, and Tony Romo has a back contusion, so...
Brandon Weeden looked not like the Brandon Weeden he was in Cleveland. He led them to a field goal and a touchdown on the 2 drives he was in for Romo. Amazing what you could do with some good players around, you know?
It's a good foundation. It's a good foundation.
Yeah.
He just kind of has to show up and just, clock in, clock out.
Right.
Not much effort needed.
Just a normal 9 to 5. How did Cortana and ELO do?
Well, Cortana went 10 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
ELO went 11 and 4. I should preface by saying that they're not picking spreads. They're only picking the winners.
Straight winners. Okay.
Straight winners. Which, the degree of difficulty isn't quite as high as, our level of, we're more for the thrills and the frills. They're just kind of playing it safe.
They're not worried about the cookies.
Mm-mm.
The other, we forgot to discuss, we both got burned on that Packers game. Remember when we were in such disbelief that New Orleans was favored at home by like 1.5 or something like that?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. There are a couple of games we've had like that this season where we look at the line and we just think that we don't understand what the line is. We think there's something wrong.
All right, so the next time...
Then apparently Vegas, the bookmakers get vindicated when we come up with this. There was one other one like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember the other one, but...
I think wasn't it Cincinnati, New England, when New England was on a bit of a slide or something? We thought, should be more points.
Right. And then they crushed Cincinnati.
Yeah, as it happens. As what always happens. The other one we both got burned on was Indianapolis. Who saw that coming?
Yeah. Was it 6 touchdowns for Roethlisberger?
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll get there.
Oh, all right.
Wink.
All right. Hint. Okay.
Don't steal my thrills.
Well, can't help it. There was something else I was going to say, but now I can't remember what it was. So let's move on to those thrillers and chillers.
Thrillers.
Wait. Can I make guesses?
Sure.
All right.
I picked two of each.
Okay. I didn't really think too much about the chillers, but for the thrillers, I'm going to say, just top of my head, Ben Roethlisberger is one.
He's one.
And I'm going to say Emmanuel Sanders.
I didn't pick him.
Okay.
Maybe I should have.
All right.
I got completely burned by one of my leagues. My opponent had both Rob Gronkowski and Emmanuel Sanders. It was not a good day.
No. So is Gronk the other thriller?
No, I went a little off the beaten path. I mean, you could have probably picked Emmanuel Sanders or Rob Gronkowski, as Sanders was projected to score 13 points and he ended up with 30, largely due to those nice 3 touchdowns that he scored. Gronkowski, you could also say the same thing. He had a pretty nice week 8, projected for 12 points, turns it into 34. But, I figured this week I'll make the second thriller a defense. Ooh. So I chose Miami Dolphins defense.
Huh.
Now, they were projected for pretty high for defense, 10 points in ESPN standard. They scored 22 because they had 2 interceptions, a fumble recovery, an 80 and a 22-yard interception return for a touchdown.
I know. I played against them in one of my fantasy leagues, so I did not win that week.
Right. So you could definitely sub in, Emmanuel Sanders or Gronkowski, but you know what? I felt like taking a little different route though.
All right. Throwing a curveball here halfway through the season.
Yep, keeping it fresh. Oh, right. And Ben Roethlisberger, you're right. Projected for 11 points. It was one of the lower projections for a quarterback. He turned that into 46 points with 40 of 49 passing, which is 81.6% completion.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
That Colts defense just they were playing so well up to that game. So who knows what happened there?
522 yards, 6 passing touchdowns, and a 150.6 quarterback rating.
Sheesh.
Nearly perfect.
Sheesh.
Turned in a pretty good card.
That he did. And let's see. The Colts kept fighting too in that game. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean the Steelers were scoring so many points, but every time that I felt like I wanted to turn the game off because maybe Pittsburgh, you might have felt like they had it in the bag, but Andrew Luck, you just can't count him out.
No, you cannot, and that's why I drafted him on both my fantasy leagues. So
I mean, even the Indianapolis was trailing by as much as 25 at some point in this game, and you don't want to change the channel. I mean, They got it within about 15 or so.
Right. Huh. Well, what can you say?
I guess their luck ran out.
Well, maybe Ben Roethlisberger heard the news that Permanis now delivers. So even when he's not in Pittsburgh, he could still have Permanis. So maybe that helped him out a little bit.
They should have done something like beforehand. He's like, listen, if I throw for 500 yards, you're going to deliver one to the stadium. All right, Ben.
Should.
Sure. Yeah, we'll be right there, Ben.
You guys don't know. I'll do it.
It would have been funny if during the post game they were like, Ben, you threw for 522 yards. He's like, yep, now I'm going to go get my Pittsburgher from Permanis. See yous down there.
Get the Roethlisberger at Permanis.
The Roethlisberger. It's their second biggest seller.
What's their biggest?
I don't know. They always just say that the burger is their biggest, or their second biggest. I don't think they say what their biggest is.
Huh.
They do have breakfast though.
They leave that up for consumer
debate,
discretion. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
They don't want to count anyone out. It's like, listen, we'll say who our second favorite is. It's like picking a favorite child or something, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Do they have like a Roberto Clemente or Andrew McCutcheon equivalency? Maybe that's their favorite.
I don't think so.
All right. We're getting off track here. Let's Yeah. Might have to call Permanis. Chillers. Let's see. I'm gonna
Andrew Luck had 400 yards passing too, so that was
Yeah. Does Geno Smith count as a chiller? I don't know what his projected points were, but
do I even get to count him since he only played one quarter? If that?
Is there a minimum you have to play in a game to be a chiller?
I don't know.
What about like
he was projected for 10 points. He got -6. He had 5 yards passing.
And 3 interceptions.
He almost had more interceptions than he had passing yards.
Let's see. All right. For chiller, I'm going to guess one is Brandon Marshall.
No.
Okay. Who's the first one?
The first one that I chose was Julio Jones.
Right, that London game.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was watching like the first half, and Atlanta scores 21 unanswered, and I thought, you know what, this is a done deal. I'm just gonna finish up this bowl of Cookie Crisp, and I'm gonna, watch some cartoons instead. Erroneous of me, because Atlanta loses the game.
They do.
I mean,
they cover their spread though, because they were +4 or something, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't pick them.
Well, yeah. I have some things to say about Detroit a little later, right. But Julio Jones, he's had no scores since week 3. So if you bought high on him this year for your fantasy team, you're a little out of luck.
Good thing I did not get him.
I always do, of course. Well, I have more things to say about Atlanta, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, second chiller.
Wait. Second chiller, Marshawn Lynch?
I almost did. I didn't because I'm tired of picking on him.
Okay.
But
what about Cam Newton?
Cam Newton. That's exactly
right. All right.
Cam Newton was my second chiller. Projected for 20 points, scored 4. He went 12 for 22, 171 passing yards, 1 interception. He did have 12 rushing attempts and 24 rushing yards. I mean, he didn't get a lot of yards per carry, but he did have the second highest number of tries that he's had this season.
And the Seahawks were trying to give away that game.
Yeah, they were.
That was a rough one to watch, but
the weird thing is that Cam Newton's passer rating has gotten progressively worse each week.
I feel like that happens to him though, and then like at some point later in the season, he starts to turn it on, and they go on a tear. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just imagining that.
Well, that's a great segue into our Thursday night game, which is New Orleans at Carolina, with New Orleans laying 3 points. I mean, does Carolina turn it on now? Do you feel like you can back up that statement you just made? Yeah,
I'm going to take Carolina in this game.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
One, the Saints are on the road.
Okay.
2, the game against Green Bay is really the first game all year they showed any type of domination on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers got hurt in that game. I think that affected him. He's grabbing his hamstring on the one play. The tide's kind of turned at that point, but I don't think they'll be able to do that again this week. The Saints haven't proven much to me yet. I mean, they're still in the hunt. They're 3-4. They still obviously are in the hunt for the division and the playoffs, but I don't know that they, I don't know that they win by more than 3 in Carolina.
It's interesting. See, I almost kind of think it's the other way around. I mean, New Orleans, you're right, hasn't been, very impressive this year. They're kind of an anemic 3-4. They did have a pretty good offensive output in last game against Green Bay. But my key for this game is the fact that Carolina, who's typically had a pretty good defense, has kind of a mediocre to almost not very good defense this year. Their defense is I don't know. The opposite of I don't know. They've regressed and they've gone even farther.
Okay.
It's like they've super regressed. They've gotten worse than just going back to the the mean or the normal.
Their regression is regressing.
Mm-hmm.
No, that would be the other. That's like a double negative. They're positively regressing. I don't know.
That's the best answer I can think of. Anyway,
right.
So this is a battle for right now supremacy in the NFC South, which does not feature a team over 500.
Right.
But I just feel like Carolina, even though this game is at Carolina, so maybe that affects the Saints. I just feel like Carolina's defense is just going to get completely cut up by the potent passing attack of New Orleans.
Yeah, but if you look at Carolina against Seattle, they gave up 13 points to the reigning Super Bowl champs.
Is all well in Seattle? Are we sure?
No, it's not. But I don't think Seattle is a team we can count out.
You're right.
Russell Wilson had 199 yards passing.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, Seattle basically was trying to give the game away until the Panthers said, no, you take it. But I don't know. I think Carolina in a division game at home can. I don't know if they'll win outright, but I think it'll be one of those close games that they can keep within 3.
Well, we certainly don't know how this game is going to pan out, but you do know what we do know is that this is the earliest that we've ever disagreed on a spread. The first game. We'll never beat this.
It took week 9.
It took week 9, and we finally disagreed on the first game.
All right. So I'm circling this as an early vindication game.
I feel like this has blowout written all over it.
Maybe.
But I don't know. It's usually the home team.
Saints are 0-4 on the road.
We are 0-4 on the road. Carolina is 5-3 against the spread too. Oh boy. Well, I'm not gonna go ahead and go back on my selection, but now I'm kind of second guessing myself.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens on Sunday, or excuse me, this game's Thursday. We'll see what happens Thursday.
Yeah.
But moving on to Sunday, we have Bucks at the Browns.
Bucks at Browns.
Cleveland's -7 at home. Can you really not take the Browns?
I mean, I guess I have a little more faith in Cleveland after Oakland wasn't able to kind of play to their opponent's level.
Right.
And Cleveland held off and was able to win against that 7-point spread. Can I go against the Browns? I don't know. I can't think of anything quite so logical that would persuade me to not take Cleveland. I mean, is the 7 points something that you consider as, wavering your decision?
It is. It's one of those numbers where it's, really makes you think. The Buccaneers are terrible. But, if the Browns play like they did against Jacksonville, I mean, that game was just terrible. Now, they did bounce back last week against Oakland, but Oakland is even worse than Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. Raiders might go 0-16 this year. Yeah. But I don't know. I think I'm taking the Browns on this one. That 7 is a little threatening to me, but I think at home they'll be able to do that against the Bucks.
Yeah, and the nice thing for Cleveland is that even though they're still relying on Brian Hoyer as a quarterback, Tampa Bay has the worst passing defense, or the third worst passing defense in the entire league.
Right, and they just traded one of their safeties, and who else was it? Yeah, they traded safety Mark Barron to the Rams. So obviously, let's see here. Who else was it? They traded Casillas to the Patriots. Yeah, linebacker, Jonathan Casillas to the Patriots. So they traded a safety and a linebacker for draft picks. So they're not trying to improve this season.
No, they're trying to deprove.
Yeah.
Is that a word?
To tank?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we agree.
All right. Irregardless.
You're right, yeah. We agree on this one. Are we going to agree on this next one? Which I don't think we will.
I like saying irregardless because I know it makes people mad. All right, so we both got the Browns on that one?
Yeah.
All right.
Question is, Arizona at Dallas with Dallas favored by 4.5.
I'm going to take the Cardinals.
Oh, I'm going with the Cowboys, and this was the one I had the most trouble with, only because Tony Romo is now listed as probable. But I would be probably willing to guess that might change throughout the week. That's, I'm just speculating.
Yeah, he's getting he's getting an MRI on his back from his injury last night.
Yeah. Jason Garrett says the team will take it one day at a time, per the Dallas Morning News report. But I don't know. It's another. That's his Achilles heel. His Achilles heel is in his back, essentially.
Yeah.
It's just that's the last place that you want Tony Romo to get injured, especially during a season in which you're playing pretty well. DeMarco Murray is, running like a madman. You've got a pretty good passing offense going now because you can rely on the passing or the rushing game a little more. I mean, I guess the safety blanket is Brandon Weeden. I guess they can sleep well at night knowing that they have Brandon Weeden as the backup. Do you think they regret trading Kyle Orton now or letting him go now?
Well, no, they tried re-signing him, but he didn't. He chose not to re-sign with Dallas, if I recall correctly. Like he voluntarily said, "Thanks, but I'm not going to do that."
The one that got away,
and then proceeded to sign with Buffalo, where he's playing really well. But
so you have more faith in the Cardinals right now?
I do. They're playing really well. Even though their defense is banged up, they're still one of the better defensive teams. Even with Carson Palmer as a quarterback, he's not the greatest, but I mean, he had that fantastic throw last night to Brown or not last night, but Sunday to put the Cardinals ahead, against the Eagles there at the end of the game. I don't know. I just think the Cardinals, this is another one where I don't know if they win outright, but I think it comes down to a field goal.
Palmer's fits that nice mold of the old reliable. He's not flashy, but he turns in a pretty good game.
Right.
Every week. It's like 2 touchdowns, maybe like 250, 300 passing yards. Every week. It's more like, I won't say it's a conditional pick for me because I'm just going to go with Dallas. But I mean, as I've been saying the last couple of weeks, we're getting to that point where Dallas is going to turn the corner. They're going to start doing worse. This is that, maybe that one event that sparks this whole change with Tony Romo not being, completely healthy. They have a very tough game against Arizona, a pretty good team this year. 4.5 points, that's kind of a lot against a pretty good team. I mean, they do have Jacksonville next week, but then after the bye, they've got some tough games ahead. That's just a lot for them.
Well, while you're thinking it over, I looked up the Kyle Orton question. He was actually released by the Cowboys because what was it? He threatened retirement. And
I would rather not play than play for your team.
Well, that's what Carson Palmer did.
Well, that's what Adam Banks' dad threatened in the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, it's true. True. Yeah, Carson Palmer did that with Cincinnati. He basically said, I'm going to retire. And Cincinnati was like, all right, but if you ever come back, you have to play for us. And then he forced his hand and forced them into a trade kind of thing. Went to Oakland, played terrible there. Then went to Arizona, where he is now, and playing pretty well with Larry Fitzgerald. But
John Elway did that too.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yes, he did. Eli did that with San Diego.
Yeah. Eric Lindros.
Good old Lindros.
I'm the well's running dry for me. I have to go to other sports.
I'm not gonna play for you, so I'm gonna do something else. No, I just think the Cardinals are just playing really well. They're really well coached. I think they can win this game outright. You know, if they take some notes from the Washington game, you know, I think they'll be okay.
I knew it was going to happen on a primetime game, too.
Yeah, they're...
the whole nation watching, and you just...
Yeah.
You can't even beat the Washington professional football team.
Arizona is third against the run this year.
Yeah, that'll be fun, if anything, just to see what DeMarco does against, you know, pretty good rush defense.
Yeah. Yeah, see if that offensive line can keep things going for him. But all right, so what we're split 2 out of 3.
I don't know if we've ever done that either.
Sheesh. All right. What about the next one? We got the Eagles at the Texans. Eagles are -2.5.
I'm pretty sure we picked the same thing for this one. Eagles.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little concerned because of J.J. Watt. But I think the Eagles will be able to come up with quick screens, quick passes, you know, slants, that sort of thing, to keep Watt honest and keep him away from Nick Foles. You know, just trying to get rid of the ball early, I think, is key.
Yeah, I think the Eagles will definitely know Watt's Watt. Oh, yeah.
You were just waiting for that.
I was. I just thought of that. I was just waiting to pull that out of the holster. Plus, it's J.J. Watt does a lot better against rookie quarterbacks, as we saw last week.
Right.
You know, Nick Foley and Dynamite is, you know, he's definitely not a rookie, but...
Yeah, and the Texans' passing defense is 28th, so that's a good sign for the Eagles.
Arian Foster, though.
Yeah.
You have to be scared of him, especially at Houston. It just seems like he's, you know, if it were at Philly, maybe he would have, I don't know. My gut, which is also full of pumpkin spice Oreos, just has me feeling like he's going to have a pretty big game because it's at Houston.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does have a big game. I would be more surprised if Ryan Fitzpatrick has a big game.
Interesting.
Yeah. Arian Foster can score 3 touchdowns. That's fine with me as long as the Eagles, you know, score 4.
Addition by subtraction.
Yeah. All right. So both taking the Eagles there? All right. Next one's interesting. Here we go with our first double-digit spread of the week. We got the Jets at Kansas City. Kansas City is -10.
Got a lot of these games. I think this is probably the most we'll have all year. Spoiler alert, we've got 4 double-digit spreads. I guess the real question is how many I'm picking for and how many I'm picking against. So guess what? This one I'm picking against. I like Michael Vick taking over the role of quarterback for the New York Jets after Geno Smith nearly throws as many interceptions as he has passing yards. 10 is a lot of points. Jamal Charles seems like he's returning to form. But I have this feeling that swapping in Michael Vick will kind of rejuvenate the Jets for a couple of games.
You think so? Just because he's a little more experienced, maybe some better decision making? All right. I like your reasoning, and that's my reasoning too. I'm going to take the Jets also. I think the Chiefs win outright, but Jets, I think, and Vic will be able to keep it within 10.
Yeah, if it were maybe like a 4 or a 5, I think I might be a little more inclined to side with Kansas City. I don't even know if this is like good teaser territory. Because it's like 4 points. What if the Jets just do something silly and just
right?
Either win the game or get it within, closer than 4, or not quite.
I know what you mean. My first teaser game would be that Browns Buccaneers.
Good choice.
Get that to Cleveland -1 and pair it up with a few others. But yeah, I don't know. The Chiefs are playing well. Andy Reid, as as much as I disliked his latter years in Philadelphia, he does make questionable calls, but he is also a good coach. So I won't bet for the Chiefs in the playoffs, but
yeah, but he got out Andy Reided last week.
Well, yeah, he did for sure.
His role as the Andy Reid of the league has been usurped.
Let's see. All right, so you both took the Jets on that one?
Yep.
All right.
Hey, why skew from double-digit spreads when we've got another one? It's Jacksonville at Cincinnati, with Cincinnati favored by 11.5.
Yeah. What's your ruling on this one?
Well, I took the double-digit spread last week with Dallas, and I got burned.
Mm-hmm.
The previous game that we selected was a double-digit spread. I'm going against the spread. This one, if Cincinnati didn't have the game that they did last week, I might have sided with Jacksonville. But even though they only won by 3, they still beat a pretty tough Baltimore team that we were convinced was easily the favorite.
Right.
Even though they're not quite up to full steam, especially with Giovanni Bernard, who hasn't had a very solid last couple of games. Andy Dalton isn't quite as dangerous as he's been in seasons past. It does sound like AJ Green will return this week.
Right.
He seems optimistic that he'll play this week.
And I've been surprised at how well Mohamed Sanu has stepped up into that.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
I was just going to bring up Mohamed Sanu. It seems like he's been. I mean, even with AJ Green in the lineup, he'll have a good game every once in a while.
Right.
And now I think with the Sanu sort of proving himself, it gives Dalton maybe a second threat that he can spread the ball out a little more. He doesn't have to quite rely on AJ Green for big plays as much, and he has 2 deep threats perhaps.
Right. And they can always turn the tables, and Andy Dalton can always catch a touchdown too.
Mm-hmm.
Like he did earlier this year. But so does that mean you're taking the Bengals?
I mean, I am, but then watch the law firm of Bortles, Robinson and Robinson turn in a pretty good card next week.
And I think that's what they're going to do, and I'm going to take Jacksonville.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I felt kind of vindicated with my my free agent pickups of Denard Robinson in, I think, all 3 of my leagues.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't score a touchdown, but he still had 108 yards on 18 rushes, which is a pretty good clip. So
right.
It's not like he's not running well.
Yeah, he's
just so happened that he didn't score.
He's the featured back now, so
yep,
it would
much better choice than Toby
yeah.
Gerhart.
Yeah,
much better choice.
I think that 11.5 is too high. I think Jacksonville will get a garbage time touchdown, and
yeah, that's quite possible.
Or Cincinnati might just implode, but I don't know.
Yeah, they're tough to gauge right now.
Yeah, they are.
Very tough.
Yeah, just a few weeks ago they were favorites for the Super Bowl, and now they division's questionable.
Plus, there's that wild card we haven't talked about yet for Jacksonville.
Right.
The guy who moonlights.
Oh, yes.
Running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Storm. What's his name?
Storm Johnson.
Johnson. That's right. It's going to be a storm on Sunday. Maybe.
I mean, right now it's clear with a high of 52. It's kind of chilly, though.
Just raining on my parade.
With Storm Johnson.
All right. Let's see. Who do we have next here?
San Diego at Miami, with Miami the favorite by 1 point.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So you know what's going to happen? It's one of those games where I'm not quite sure why the line is what it is, and I think it should be the opposite. And then I'm gonna choose the opposite, and then I'm gonna get slapped in the face by a result that's the exact opposite of what I thought it would be. So in the end,
choose the opposite of the opposite.
I know. I don't want to do that.
Well, I mean, I can understand why Miami's -1.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, they pull it up here. They took Green Bay to the end of the game. They should, Miami should have won that game. They beat the Bears. What else did they do? They beat they played the Jaguars last week, but they beat the Jaguars and they looked impressive doing it.
Yeah,
tough
game.
Well, for the most part, but and their defense too is playing out of their mind. So I think that's going to have an effect. So I mean, I can understand why Miami's -1. However, I'm going to pick San Diego.
I think you've made the wise decision.
Yeah, I mean, San Diego, one, they're a little beat up, but they have had a longer break since they played on Thursday night last week. So they've got a little more time to rest up for this game. I think Phillip Rivers is going to take charge and kind of get everybody back on track here, and I don't see them losing this week.
Yeah, it's almost like with them playing on Thursday, the coming from Mountain Time to Eastern Time sort of washes out.
Mm-hmm.
They get the extra day, even though they're making the trek.
Right. Yeah. With the extra couple days rest, that's probably a non-factor. They'll be playing in warm weather, so it's almost like they're playing in San Diego.
I mean, maybe if Brandon Oliver didn't have a mediocre game last week, but Antonio Gates is just playing so well this year. He's already got 9 scores. Mm-hmm. Lamar Miller is can't think of the adjective I was just going to use. A competent back. He's kind of like the Carson Palmer right now. He's not super flashy, but he'll turn in a pretty good game.
Right.
Week after week, he gets about 60 to 70 yards. Gets about 4 to 5 yards per attempt. Maybe he'll score every once in a while. Tannehill's, again, kind of reliable.
Mm-hmm.
But it just isn't. I mean, their defense is playing well, but it just doesn't seem like their offense is operating quite, with as much potency as one might think with who's on the roster.
True, and that's a valid point. But I mean, just going back, they beat New England week 1.
Mm-hmm. That was impressive.
Lost 2 in a row to Buffalo and Kansas City, who turned out to be better teams than people may have expected.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Oakland, lost to Green Bay on that field by 3, and then beat Chicago and Jacksonville the last 2 weeks. The last 3. Let's see, what is that? The last 2 weeks they've put up 27 points. They won 27-14, 27-13. So their defense isn't giving up a lot. Not that Jacksonville could score a lot anyway, but Chicago certainly could, but they haven't been. So
yeah, I don't know. They've been a bit bearish.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think San Diego kind of gets back on track here this week and beats.
Come on, I made a bear pun. Bearish. The Bears are bearish.
I'm so used to puns that I just look past them now.
It doesn't faze you anymore.
Yeah.
You build up your tolerance for puns.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, well, who'd you? Oh, you're taking San Diego.
Yeah, I'm not as charged up about puns anymore.
There you go.
But all right. Back in the game.
Coming in fast, hot and fast.
Washington at Minnesota. Minnesota's -3.
No respect for the Washington professional football team after they beat America's former team. Was that
America's team? The former America's favorite team.
Yes.
Yeah.
No respect.
It's like a beauty queen. Oh, she was former Miss America. That's what the Cowboys are. But Colt McCoy did play really well. It was a hometown game for him. Put up some impressive numbers. I was pretty pleased to see that.
I mean, okay, let me collect myself. Essentially, they're saying this game is a push, is what I'm getting from this line of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Are they insinuating that Jerick McKinnon is going to do well in this game? I mean, I don't understand where the the thrust of why the Vikings are the favorite. Teddy Bridgewater, let's be honest, has not played up to quite the standard the pedestal that we put him on earlier in the season. I mean, he's been okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not great. Jerick McKinnon's turned in a couple of pretty good games. Cordarrelle Patterson, bit hit or miss.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing to think about, too, with Washington is RG3 might be back this week. There's been no official, just reading here on Roto World, Redskins coach Jay Gruden maintained on Tuesday, which is today, no matter what happens, they will not rush RG3's return. He's very, very, very close. That's three varies. So he could be back.
But do you? I mean, if he's cleared, do you swap in RG3? I mean, Colt McCoy, last week 25 of 30 for 300 yards.
Mm-hmm.
That's for your first real start in quite some time. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
In such a big game, prime time, Monday night, you're able to lead your team, who was 2-5, against what I'm going to say what was a pretty good team.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're taking on another 3-5 team, and yet you're not the favorite. I mean, I don't think that jives, but I'm one man.
Yeah. Well, and it goes back to what you said earlier too, that if this were on a neutral field, that line obviously would be different. But they're basically saying the Vikings and the Redskins are the same team. Vikings just get the advantage of home field for this game.
We haven't had a pick'em game yet this season, have we?
What's that?
So we haven't had a pick'em this game, have we? This whole season?
I
don't think we have.
No, I don't think so either. But I don't know. For this game, I'm gonna take the Redskins.
All right.
At +3 on the road. Vikings just aren't giving me confidence.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly how I felt.
As much as I love Teddy, and I heard of a fantastic nickname for him. Teddy throws a belt. I thought that was clever.
I like that.
I wish I would have come up with that, but
you'll just have to come up with a better one. I mean, there's plenty of time. We're only week 9.
Yeah, but how many other famous Teddys are there? Exactly.
Roosevelt, we've done that.
Yeah.
Teddy Williams? No. Teddy Ruxpin? I'm out.
All right. Maybe we'll do some Googling and see what we can find out. But
you know where else we're out of? We're out of 1:00 games.
All right. So what's your favorite?
So now it's the week's old tradition of selecting our favorite. I really like Arizona Dallas.
Yeah.
It's a high octane game. You've got a good rush defense against a good rush guy on your offense. DeMarco Murray. It's a lot at stake at that game.
Today's Tom Sawyer.
Yeah,
that's probably my favorite too.
Mean stride.
Not probably. It definitely is. Definitely.
What's the worst 1:00 game? Let's flip the script and see if we can come up with something. The worst. The one you think is the least impactful.
The one that I would pay least attention to?
Yes. 20 TVs at a bar, you're eating a burger, and you can just rotate your little swivel chair and watch any game. What's the game that you wouldn't even devote any attention to?
Probably the Chiefs-Jets. I don't think I would... the Browns-Buccaneers might be up there, but the Browns are in a tight division. Chiefs, if the Chiefs lose, they go 4-4. They're still was still in it, but I don't know. I feel like if the Browns lose to the Buccaneers, that's just bad.
I mean, a lot of these 1:00 games, it's one of those situations where if what you expect to happen actually happens, you wouldn't have any interest at all. But if the exact opposite happens, it would be something to really pay attention to. Like if Cleveland gets beat by Tampa Bay, that's kind of a big deal in terms of how things will shake out for, you know, an AFC North that's still kind of in flux. Cleveland is still in the thick of things. If Jacksonville wins, that's kind of a big deal.
Well, yeah.
If Colt McCoy has a pretty good game, you know, maybe that's a big deal.
Well, and if the Jets win, that'll be their second win of the year. So, I mean, that's kind of there with Buccaneers and Jacksonville.
That'll be fun. I mean, watching the Jets Chiefs might be, you know, somewhat fun just because of Michael Vick. But
right, that's true. Yeah, usually the game I pay least attention to at my place of viewing is whichever one is on the screen farthest away from me. So
it's more of a proximity thing than a game quality thing.
Well, it's just a big wall with TVs and different size TVs. They show all the games, but there's always that one game on the far left. And me and my friends, we always sit kind of center right or something like that. And that far left game is. Everyone's always like, "What's happening in that game down there?" It's like, let me take a walk. I'll have to go check. But yeah, so whichever game's on that TV, which will probably be the Browns Bucks or something like that. But
we were talking earlier about Back to the Future and hoverboards not being a thing yet, even though maybe they're close. You know what else they didn't cash in on? A TV that can show 6 things at once.
Well, I mean, they had the Red Zone.
Am I missing something?
They had the Red Zone channel.
Yeah,
and the Red Zone channel, I think, can put up 8 games at once, if I recall. But not everybody has the Red Zone channel.
Not everybody has the Red Zone channel.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I mean, you could do picture-in-picture, but that's just 2 things.
I mean, I'll pay for Wii and OWN networks, but I don't know that I'm going to pay the extra coin for the Red Zone.
Yeah. I know how you love your Wii network.
I do.
All right.
Weddings.
Yeah.
David Tutera. I digress. 4:00 games. St. Louis, San Fran, Niners. Favored by 10. Go.
Rams.
Really?
Yeah. I don't like that double digit with the Niners. I don't.
Guess.
Yeah. I mean, Rams got blown out by the Chiefs last week. Niners are kind of up and down for me. You know, one week they can, I think they're going to blow a team out and then they barely win, or, next time I think the game's going to be close and they blow them out. So I have no idea really how to gauge San Francisco.
Very true. Very true. I mean, I guess the guy to watch for this game is Trey Mason.
Right.
He had a pretty good game against Seattle, and then last week against Kansas City, he only gets 7 carries for 32 yards. Still pretty good average per carry, but, you don't give him the opportunities, he can't rack up the yards. But you're right, San Francisco's tough to gauge right now.
They do have their defense is good though.
Their defense is good.
I don't know if that's enough to justify 10 points. I don't know. I'm starting to wonder about some of these double-digit spreads.
I felt brash. I took the Niners, even though it's double digits.
Yeah,
this is 2 this week that I've taken. So,
well, what I've learned is, when I think, all right, this team is going to blow out this team, I'm usually incorrect. So, a game like this where San Francisco probably should blow out the Rams, they might not. So, I don't know. Just don't know. But I'm going to take the Rams. I think they can keep it within 10. They played poorly last week, but they've shown they're capable of playing well and keeping games close.
You are correct.
So we'll see how that goes. But who knows? Who knows, right?
Well, no, next week, but that doesn't help.
Well, it doesn't help now. unless you have, the 2014 Sports Almanac. Do you have the two? We could be avoiding a lot of pain and stress if you have this book and didn't tell me.
Yeah, but then we wouldn't have this, digital tete-a-tete that we have every week.
Well, I mean, we could still do that, just fake it.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's what we're doing.
It kind of lacks potency then, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess. But I don't know.
So we'd have to talk more about Oreos than we would about football.
Yeah.
Or burgers.
Yeah, that's true.
Or the Red Zone Jam.
Yeah. All right. I guess this is okay the way it is.
It's more organic.
We have big game up next.
Big game.
Denver at New England. Denver's minus 3.5. I think this is Brady versus Manning 16 or something like that. I don't know.
Do you think this is a AFC Championship preview?
It certainly could be. Although I would not be surprised if Indianapolis was there or San Diego, because I picked San Diego to win the Super Bowl. So I'm still going to ride that. But no, this certainly could be an AFC Championship preview game.
I'm trying to find it real quick.
But
they are the top two favored teams to win the AFC conference. Denver is the favorite at 1-1. So they essentially say it's 50% chance that Denver wins the AFC. New England is second at 5-1. After that, it's the Colts at 13-2.
Interesting. What's San Diego listed?
San Diego is fifth. They are 12-1. No, I made that up. They're fourth. They're tied with Cincinnati at 12-1.
Huh. Interesting.
So if it comes down to Cincinnati and San Diego, they'll just say, you know what? We're both winners.
Well,
and then they'll go out for ice cream.
Cincinnati already tied once this year, so why not a second time? But
they'll just go play Stratego for 3 hours. Denver.
Yeah, I'm going to take Denver too. I don't know. I mean, they are on the road. They are laying 3.5.
Peyton's so good.
Well, Brady wasn't exactly terrible last week, if you recall.
Yeah, that's true.
Would he have 5 touchdowns?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 3 of which were to Rob Gronkowski.
Right. Yeah, he had 149 yards, so Brady was 30 of 35. He had as many touchdowns as he had incompletions.
Ooh.
But I don't think they'll be able to beat Denver. I think Denver has too many weapons.
You're forgetting about the Patriots' X Factor, Jonas Gray.
Go on.
He just had the most carries last week for New England. 17.
And how many yards?
86.
Uh-huh.
He has never recorded a carry in the NFL. This is the 3rd year he's listed on an NFL roster. This is the 3rd NFL team he's been with. And this is the only time. Last week, week 7, he had 3 carries for 12 yards. Week 8, he had 17 carries for 86 yards. Those are the only times he's recorded a carry in the NFL. But he had the most last week. Why?
Because somebody had to.
Vereen. I know, but they still have Shane Vereen.
You know the Patriots don't stick with one running back week after week.
They have James White. They have Jimmy Garoppolo.
That's their backup quarterback.
I know, but he recorded an attempt for -1 yards.
Well, yeah. Because at a certain point, you just say, all right, Tom, you better sit this drive out.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
But
his Twitter handle is JimmyG_10.
Jimmy G?
Jimmy G.
All right. Yeah, I'll take Denver. I just think Peyton's got too many weapons, and
they're too good.
They're too good. And I think Eric Decker is kicking himself for leaving Denver and going to the Jets.
No, Wes Welker.
Except for the piles of money he's sleeping on, but yeah, who knows?
Whatever helps you sleep at night.
Yeah.
Literally helps you sleep. pile of money.
How do you sleep at night? On a big pile of money. I'm just trying to look up the overall record between Brady and Peyton.
I'll give you some time to do that because this next game is the last double-digit spread of the week. It's the Raiders at the Seahawks. The Seahawks are favored by 15 points. The last time that Oakland was a double-digit dog was all the way back in week number 3. They were a 14-point dog to New England. Patriots still won, but it was 16-9. So the Oakland Raiders only lost by 7. Raiders have this tendency to make the game close. That's why I'm taking the Raiders at plus 15 because I feel that's like a lot of points. I feel like Seattle is out of sorts, especially since their trade, especially since Marshawn Lynch has not rushed for more than 70 yards in the last 3 weeks. He has not rushed for triple digits since way back in week 1 when he did it against Green Bay. He has not scored a rushing touchdown since week 3.
Yeah, and I'm taking the Raiders too.
Okay,
that 15 is just too high.
Too high.
Seattle hasn't really blown anybody out except the Packers in week 1.
Would you tease the Raiders up to 21? I mean, is that... I'm not like saying like a hype. Would you actually toss that into a tease?
I'd be very I'd be very tempted to. I would. And then Oakland would lose by 22. So,
as you do.
Usually when I'm looking at teasers, I try and tease it for the favorite, to have to win by less. Like Cleveland right now is -7.5. I would tease that to -1. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I look for more in teasers, as opposed to giving the underdog a larger spread to try and cover.
That's fair.
But
most points that they've lost by this season was 24 back in week 4 against the Miami Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that Seattle is scoring very well. That's my bugaboo about this 15. And it's going to rain, according to the forecast right now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's more of a ground game. Even though the Raiders have the worst, I got it right this time, the worst rushing offense in the NFL, they still do have Darren McFadden, even though he's not,
Yeah. And I think there's a lot more going on with Seattle behind the scenes than even what's come out in the media. So
I think you're right.
That 15 is just too high. So yeah, I'm okay with taking Oakland there.
Yep. And
going back to the Manning versus Brady, the overall record, Brady is 10-5 over Manning in the overall. 10-5. I think after this week he'll be 10-6.
I think you're right.
Only because I don't want to go back and change my pick based on this one stat.
Too far.
Although in the playoffs, Manning is 2-1 against Brady. But
it's like a TV tucked in way into the left corner.
Yeah.
You've gone too far.
Yeah. I'm not worried about that game. No. I think Peyton wins this week, and I think they do it by more than 3.5. But yeah, and that Seattle -15 is just I don't know. I don't think they'll be able to cover that.
But will Pittsburgh be able to cover when they host Baltimore Sunday night, with Pittsburgh being the favorite by 1 point?
No, I'm taking Baltimore.
Ooh, tell me why. Sell me on this. Because I'm not buying that.
I didn't expect
doing the
it
opposite.
To. I know. As well as Pittsburgh played last week, so, surprising literally everybody, probably themselves. I don't think they put up that kind of performance 2 weeks in a row. Baltimore lost a very close game to Cincinnati. I don't think they lose 2 in a row to a division rival. I think Baltimore gets back on track, and I think they win this game. I don't think I think Pittsburgh's game last week was a bit of a fluke. You know, even though they scored 51, they still gave up 34 defensively.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously that's to Andrew Luck, but we've seen Baltimore put up big numbers this year in games, and you know, if they can control that Pittsburgh offense a little bit, I think they'll be okay.
Baltimore has already beaten Pittsburgh this year.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. There's no nice pattern for Pittsburgh. They won, loss, win, win. So there goes that.
Well, and the other thing too, it almost seems like Cincinnati is Pittsburgh, or not Pittsburgh, is Baltimore's kryptonite. Yeah. Since Cincinnati won both games this year, you know, in the past it always seems like Cincinnati gives Baltimore a close game, you know, every time they play, no matter how good they are. But I just think Baltimore kind of rights the ship this week against Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh is the other tough team to gauge. I'm going to pick them and see how well they ride this hot streak, which, you know, for all intents and purposes might just be one game, but it's kind of mood I'm in tonight. Kind of feel like rolling the dice. Roll the dice on some pumpkin spice Oreos. I was
going to say you're feeling a little spicy tonight.
Yep.
Yeah. A little pumpkin spicy. All right. How many games do we differ so far?
Let's see. We differed on the Thursday game. We differed on Arizona Dallas. We differed on Jacksonville Cincy. We differed on St. Louis San Fran. And we differed on Baltimore Pittsburgh.
Are we going to differ on the last game? Indianapolis at Giants Indy's minus 3.5.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Giants coming off the bye. At home, prime time.
They do have Larry Donnell, who has been a solid fantasy tight end this year.
Odell Beckham Jr. has kind of sprung forward as a top receiver. You know.
Yeah.
Just kind of making things happen. Filling in for Victor
I'm just
Cruz.
trying to justify how I would pick the New York Football Giants. Because I'm not. I'm just, you know.
Would you take Indianapolis at home at minus 6.5?
Yeah. I think I would.
You think after the way they got beat up by Pittsburgh, they'll get their defense together and get things sorted out? Huh? Do you? Is that what you think? Is that what you're thinking? Huh? Because that's what I'm thinking. I'm taking Indianapolis.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only game that the Colts really got beat up pretty good.
Right.
I mean, beat up in the sense that the other team scored quite a few points, and it seemed like the opponent was kind of in control in the driver's seat the whole game.
Yeah, and even so, Indianapolis still put up 34.
Yeah.
So
Giants have lost 2 in a row. They got drubbed by Philly 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, counting the bye. They lost to Dallas. Eli's all right. I don't know. I can't. I mean, Victor Cruz is out.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the first game they're playing without Victor Cruz? No, it's the second.
No.
They still have Peyton Hillis. Wow. So their big receiving targets are Larry Donnell, tight end, Ruben Randall, Odell Beckham Jr.
But there's a Manning at quarterback.
Nah, I can't do it. I can't justify it.
Taking the Colts?
Yeah, taking the Colts.
All right. So we see eye to eye on that one.
Yeah, only 5 we differ.
Buys this week: Atlanta, Buffalo, Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay, and Tennessee. 6 teams on the bye.
A sixer.
Two of them are recovering from jet lag from across the pond. One team is recovering from a rookie quarterback getting pounded in Tennessee. Then J.J. Watt made fun of him. I don't know if you saw that.
That was funny.
Yeah. I chuckled. Green Bay gets a bye after that tough loss to New Orleans. Detroit gets a bye, so Calvin Johnson gets another week to rest. So chances are he'll be back after their bye. And then the other teams are Buffalo and Chicago. So I don't know why the NFL is scheduling it this way. There's like we said before, the first round of byes had 6 teams. Then it was 2, 2, and 2 till this week, and there's another 6. So
next week it's another 6, and then after that it's 4. But
there's no rules. There's no method to this madness.
No, there's not.
Stupid. But oh well.
At least it's 17 weeks with 1 bye for each team instead of back in 1993.
Yeah.
When it was 16 games played over the span of 18 weeks. You know how I remember that?
Tecmo Bowl?
Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah. It all comes back to Tecmo Bowl. Yeah.
Life lessons.
All right. Any other final thoughts on football for this week?
If you know any more famous Teddies, I'm not going to Google it, so I'm just going to let anyone tweeter me or tweeter the No Punt Intended Twitter handle, which is, go for it.
The Twitter handle is at No Punt Intended. No Punt in the number 10 DED. Send us your thoughts, concerns, questions. Teddy Bridgewater, famous Teddies to name Bridgewater after, and yay or nay on the pumpkin spice Oreos.
Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts. I have my thoughts.
Yeah,
I'm curious what other people think. I mean, it's no candy corn, but
what is?
Yeah.
But all right, well, there's some good stuff happening on the website too, so be sure to check it out. entertainmentbuddha.com. Justin, you have your comic book preview coming, correct? Your weekly.
You got it. My weekly installment. This week, it's a big week from Image. Mm-hmm. So go read some Image comics.
Yes. And I had an article up today for New Music Monday-ish, because today's Tuesday, not Monday. So if you're looking for some new music to check out, look at that. And Justin also did a review of Gotham this week, which, as you told me earlier, is starting to pick up.
It's on the up and up.
There we go. And of course, there's all sorts of news about video games, reviews, and I think there might be a Buddha cast later this week too. So keep an eye out for that if you're into the video game, music, movie things. So, all right. Well, I think that'll do it for us here this week. And good luck with your picks, and we'll catch you next week.
No witty sign off.
You gotta giddy up.
Nah, I gotta think of something else. I know. Maybe he'll just put it in for posterity. No witty sign off. Meow. We need something on par with enjoy your burrito.